And we are back with another episode of the RookieVille podcast presented by Ballsville, where we combine fantasy football and poker, which creates big payouts with great odds. Another day, another night. Connor, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing good. Ready to get into this episode. It's a unique thing. I don't think many people do quite often. So, yeah, ready to roll.
Do you want to just kind of give a little brief overview of what we're going to get into?
Yeah, so we actually have a couple of Ballsville leagues that haven't drafted their rookie drafts yet. Toothless is one of them, and me and JoJo just happen to be both in that league. So we're just going to do a little mock draft. Not your typical mock draft where people pick players and stuff like that. We're actually going to go into detail about some of the teams. We're going to do a little one-round thing. We might do another episode on the other rounds. But, yeah, we're going to do the one round. I'll go ahead and pull it up here. And then we'll just talk about what we think each team should do or shouldn't do, or what we think they might be targeting, all that stuff. So I think it's pretty unique. I haven't seen many people do this, but yeah, I think it should be interesting.
Yeah, it's just like instead of just an actual mock of kind of just ranking these rookies, just 1 through 12 or so on and so forth, just because we've already done that and it's been done so many times. But now we're actually putting teams into it in the context, right? Because now it's just not as simple of just who's the better player. But we'll see how that works out here and what our process is like. And feel free to comment down below on maybe if we're not on par with what you think and what your takes are about what the team situations that are being drafted here and what can be done to help the squads out. So without further ado, Connor, let's just start with pick number 1 here. When it's obviously not going to be too hard to argue on this point. So based on history of the team and just consensus number 1.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter much here. Zach Wilson-Pan has a lot of picks in this draft. As you can see, he really sold year one. He has Herbert and Stroud, and especially at quarterback, he has Pickett, Levis, both backups. Braylon Allen, he has Bucky, Tyrone Tracy, and then Tucker. So he is a little weak at running back. That might help. That's probably one reason he went that way, because he obviously is going to get Genty here.
Connor, just pick Ash and Genty, man. Let's move on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just wanted to talk about the team a little bit. But, yeah, exactly. That's probably what's going to happen as soon as this draft starts. Ash and Genty.
Zach Wilson fan, I did your analysis for you, man. There you go.
And we can talk about his team a little bit more, but yeah.
No, I'm just messing with you, man. I'm just messing with you. All good. So DT's 1.2. Yes. He's at number 3, but he obviously moved up to number 2 here. Got obviously probably the best dynasty quarterback in here. One argue can say that too. Brock Purdy. I'm scrolling down a little bit for his running back situation. I think that it's only 3 people. So this one's pretty much going to be an easy smash, on my opinion. Going to be smashing Marion Hampton, and then see how he works out the rest of his draft. Which, can you go back to the top, based on kind of the rest of the picks that he has here?
Yeah. So he has
another. Okay, so he has an early 2, and I think that's a good spot to draft a wide receiver to help his wide receiver room as well.
Yeah, like you said, he's not that strong a wide receiver either. He has Jaden Reed, DJ Moore, and T. Higgins. He has a little decent, wide receiver room. Not the strongest, but good. Something he has to hit decent, right away. And then he has a pretty weak running back room. So, like you said, perfect for Marion Hampton, right there.
John Legg's got 2 picks in the first round and an early second. So, with his squad, how should he approach these 3 picks? What's your process like here?
So, yeah, I like to take a look at my team and see if it's really either competing. Because if it's competing, I like to, maybe focus in on running backs or anything like that, because they're usually better producers year one, depending on who you're looking at. And then I like to look at my rooms like that. So taking a look at his running back room isn't very strong. Najee Harris and Vidal. Obviously.
Jonathan Brooks is obviously out for the year.
Yeah. And Blake Corum. So he has young players, and looking at his wide receiver room, a bunch of young players, really nobody really over the age of 25, 26. Hurts.
Yeah.
Najee's a little bit, 27, I think. But besides that, he has London, Olave, and then Bowers. So his team's it's a decent team, strong at the quarterback position. So I'm not looking at Ward or anything like that. I'm probably looking at receiver. Our favorite receiver, obviously, is Travis Hunter. So I think that's where he leans there. He might go Tet, he might be a Tet guy, but I think he leans Travis Hunter there.
Yeah, because at the 108 spot, he's going to have the same kind of dilemma between running back and receiver, which we'll get to. So it's like depends on which one, I guess, what position group he feels strongest at on his current roster, and then maybe he attacks that kind of need or even doubles down on that strength. So he definitely could double down and kind of build behind Drake London and Olave here and take Hunter to have a really good wide receiver core for the next couple of years, and especially in year one production. So I agree. Yeah.
Also, he's probably not. His team isn't that well rounded to where he has a couple of vets at running back that he can really compete this year. So I would see he's probably going to sell for the future a little bit. Travis Hunter is a great pick for that, and then we'll see at his 108 spot what he does there too.
Yeah.
So then we go to Driz Tony here at the 104. It kind of depends on what happens between the 102, 103, but his team, he has Penix, McCarthy, and Young. So I'm not looking at Cam
Not looking
Ward here.
quarterback. I agree.
He has a decent, he has Jonathan Taylor, Swift, a couple, bunch of handcuffs, Stevenson, Mason, Charbonnet. Then he has Ladd, Cup,
Florin, Myers. They're all serviceable. Jennings. I mean, he's kind of like got a pretty good, well-rounded receiving room. Like they're all producers. It seems. I mean, Ladidi's top end. And I said Ladidi, yeah. I'm sorry. Doubled down on the DD. But Kyle Pitts, he's not. I mean, that's.
It's a little early for these tight ends. If it's tight end premium, you might see him, maybe sneak up a Warren or a Loveland in, but I think it's still a little early for that here at the 104 right here. And I think we both agree he probably goes Tet here just to maybe round out his receiving room a little bit because most of his receiver assets are aging. Cup, McLaurin, players like that, Jennings. Even
that being said, I draft a lot with Grizz Tony, and he drafts very similar to me. I would still be strongly considering Henderson here. So I wouldn't rule out a Hendo pick here for him because I mean he kind of thinks like I do, and I'm just gonna throw that in there. But the 105, as we move on, is our boy Ken. He's just a straight shooter here. All his home picks, no trades, and he's just gonna go here. I think he's gonna go quarterback. I think it's pretty obviously with the Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson being on the back end of his career, only having Justin Fields. He needs a quarterback here. And I know he values Superflex in the Superflex format. He values quarterback a lot. So I think it's a no-brainer here.
I agree. Another pick that could go Henderson, depending on his love for Ward. His running back room has no starters. Bunch of handcuffs, Bidsby, Miller, Dowdle, Gibson, maybe.
I see that.
And then
I see that too. But I think he could probably go like a Bayshaw Tootin in round 2. I know he has Tank Bigsby there, but that's just a running back or he also has Brian Thomas. He might not want that much Jags exposure. So we'll see what he does. I mean, that's actually something I just noticed right now.
Yeah, his wide receiver room is really strong. Jamar Chase, Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison, Nico Collins, even one of the better wide receiver rooms I've seen.
Damn, dude, Ken.
So his tight end room, another, not the greatest tight end room right here. Njoku, Gesicki, but all serviceable. Goddard,
all serviceable.
So I wouldn't rule out a Henderson pick here, but I agree with you. I think he goes Ward right here just to round out his his quarterback room with Fields and Wilson, and then another couple of backups there. And then you're on the clock here at 106. So
along with a bunch of seconds.
Yes, a ton of seconds.
Now, you guys might be wondering, what the hell are you doing with that many second-round picks? I was an orphan in this one. I just picked this team up this year, so give me a break. We got a lot of time in between this. I'll try to move some of these picks. So hopefully, if anybody you guys are buyers in here, get at me. Open to moving some of those picks. But at the 106, I am looking at if Hendo falls, as he will be at he's just an extreme value at 106. So if he happens to fall, obviously with the current setup that I have, Demont really being the only starter, unless there's someone else I'm missing here. Keep going.
Travis Hunter, maybe.
Devon A-Chain. I do have A-Chain. So, but Demont, A-Chain, I kind of want more. I like pass catching running backs. I like the just the opportunity there. That being said, that again, I've brought this up in the past. The New England offense, there is some pause for me, just like how explosive they really can be. And I think even in Tom Brady years, running back in the backfield hasn't really finished really much better than RB2. So I'm not sure about what year one production can look like for Hendo, but again, it's just an asset. And if I want to move him, I can move him too.
Yeah, and obviously, if one of these receivers falls, like we're talking about Travis Hunter going at the
Sign me up.
1-3 and Tech going at the 1-4 or whatever. If Henderson, goes ahead of you, I think your receiver room needs a little work. You could be, you're a piece, maybe two away from competing in this league. Obviously, with all your seconds, you can move up, maybe get you another piece there. But yeah, I think Henderson at that point would be a value, but also any of those other picks, Tet or Travis Hunter, you're loving that if they fall there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would, if T-Mac or Hunter fall, I will be going wide receiver, but if I'm expecting Hendo to have the most likelihood of falling to me.
Yeah,
all right, 107. This is Zach Wilson's second pick in the first round. We had him obviously taking Ashton Genty at 101. This is kind of that inflection point because those top 6 are pretty much consensus. And obviously they all address kind of needs and best player available. Here is either that running back double down again on running back here for him, double tapping with Genty and possibly QJ, or Emeka Egbuka, in my opinion. What say you? What are the other options that you can see here?
Yeah, I think that's the only, real choice. Obviously, if any of the other guys fall, always talked about that because you never know. These drafts can get crazy. We've seen stuff happen, but yeah, I think those are the clear choices. QJ and Buka with his wide receiver room, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua,
and Worthy.
Worthy. So he has 4 serviceable players, good young
3 studs
players as well. So yeah. I think he's going to double tap his running back room. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit earlier. He's getting Genty. He has Bucky. But I think he's going to round that out a little bit and get QJ there.
I think he's going to double tap running back. Yeah.
Yep. I agree. I think, he does QJ there. He's loving it. If, maybe Cam Ward falls, he gets him a third quarterback. But I think QJ right there. And then we go back to back with another player who has multiple first round picks, John Legs. We have him going Travis Hunter. And then we also talked about Egbuka being the possible pick for the last pick, but I think it's even better pick for John Legs. We talked about he's not really going to be competing this year, most likely. He can make some moves and obviously change that, but Egbuka is a great pick. Not going to give you very much fantasy production this year, but hopefully in the future he can definitely round out his team there. What do you say?
100%, I agree. I'm in lockstep there. I mean, if you just want to have assets, I mean, just go ahead, click the best player available that falls to you at this point. And you could either, if he booms, you just have a even higher likelihood of building out a more depth at your roster with Egbuka. Let me just ask you this too. Like, what if, obviously Godwin, might come back a little late. Who knows? I mean, Jimbo has been very outspoken on the main pod that people in the community are believing that Godwin may not be ready in the first part of the season. Granted, beginning of the season, it's pretty easy to make up the production. I think anything beyond like week 5 is kind of like, okay, it's a little concerning. But if Egbuka, let's just say that happens. Egbuka is part of the 3-man wide receiver.
Well, let's not forget, not just Godwin, but they still have McMillan there that everybody.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's McMillan, Evans, and Egbuka. Let's say Godwin is still sidelined in that particular scenario. And he let's say he shines, out of the slot.
Yep.
Like who gets pushed out, and then like what happens to if that scenario kind of plays out? What should he move Egbuka like right then and there? Should he hold, or what do you think in that scenario?
I mean, it always depends on what you can get. If you can get, a 27 first and another serviceable player, rookie. Obviously, we love the 27 class. Eventually, we'll talk about that. But
we'll do a way too early episode for sure.
Yeah,
for both classes, I don't care. I'll do both.
Definitely. So if you can get a 27 first plus some, plus another rookie this year, probably, I would probably do that. But if he's looking like his outlook is going to be, he's going to be a stud. He's going to be a Jamar Chase. Obviously, not expecting that, but he's going to be a dynasty player that you can hold on to for years and years. I would probably keep him, unless you can obviously get more than what you paid for him. So
exactly. There you go. It's like if you kind of exceed the value that you paid, then it's like definitely worth that. I mean, might click accept, or you might might have to do it. Bite the bullet and just kind of hope you gain more than you caught or you bought for. Okay, Hubs TPA.
Yep.
I wonder what the TPA stands for. Hubs. Put in the comments, man. All right, Hubs TPA. We got here Baker Mayfield, Matt Stafford, Geno Smith. Obviously, all veteran quarterbacks, but all serviceable to be a three-headed monster there. Except they have the double bye week in week 8. I don't think that's going to make him influence any kind of decision making here. For a quarterback, in my opinion, Kamara, Gibbs, and McCaffrey.
And Bijan.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think you're going
running back
here.
Yeah.
I think this is where you kind of, with that kind of a backbone and infrastructure here, DK Metcalf, really. I think you're just going to, since I just saw Christian Watson, I just thought of Matthew Golden right there. So I think Matthew Golden's the pick here. Kind of gives that stability because he's going to get snaps. He's going to be part of that. The likelihood is going to be part of that first 3 wide receivers for them, assuming that, Christian Watson's out. And, but yeah, what do you think from him?
I 100% agree. And not because neither of us are like that high on Matthew Golden. It's not like we think he's going to be this dynasty stud, but I think he has the potential this year to be maybe the top receiver in the class because based on snaps, based on quarterback play, based on all of that, based on speed and, competition. All of that included, he could be a steal at the end of the first round if you're a competing team. So I love
he's a competing team with that roster, with the veteran quarterbacks, that running back room. Like this is like the perfect roster for Matthew Golden. Be honest with you, it's like picture perfect in my opinion.
I agree. I think I think we're both in agreement there. But then I think the 110, we're not going to be, this could be up in the air right here. This 110 spot.
Because he's already double tapped running back here, but this is an RJ Harvey decision right here. Like now J.K. Dobbins into the picture, right? You also got Caleb Johnson here, but like, do you think he's going to go? I think he's hoping Matthew Golden kind of maybe falls here, or he might even consider a tight end. This is kind of that where you kind of start thinking about those elite tight ends here. But given the state of his roster, we double tapped on running back already for him. I think it's either a strong consideration for a tight end, one of the two, or I don't think he's going to reach a receiver. I think this is just where they're kind of hoping. Unless he's going to have to trade the pick or just take another running back and move it after the draft.
So what I would do here personally, I would probably take another running back. Just even out that room. Take a third running back. You have a higher chance of hitting there. His receiver core is already stacked. He has one of the better receiving cores in the league. But there's not really any receivers that are produced year one besides maybe Matthew Golden at the end of this round. Anyway, he has another pick at the 112. So there's two tight ends that nobody can decide on. So why make that decision? Let the next person make this. Put it on JoJo, who has that next pick. Go ahead and take you RJ Harvey if you like him, or Caleb Johnson if you like him. Either of those guys I think fits right there with his team. Gives him a little bit more stability. 3 rookie running backs that can all produce year one, possibly. That go with Bucky Irving and Tracy right there. So I would do running back, let you take the decision at tight end.
100%.
And then take another tight end if he wants him. You never know. He has Hawkinson. He has Likely. We'll look at his team just a little bit more. We talked about it quite a bit. But, he has, serviceable tight ends too. So he might not even want a tight end. He might want a burden so he can, if he isn't able to cross the border, he can go get another guy for next year and stuff like that. So.
I like the wrinkle that you brought up as far part of your process. I hope that doesn't fall on deaf ears. Just like looking at even the person right behind you and have them make that decision for you. Because if you're completely content with, I'll let him make the first decision, I'll take whatever's left from there, is a huge strategy point. But with my roster, I need a tight end. You can see Brenton Strange, I think, is my best tight end on my roster right now. So I'll make that first move. I think. With the state of my roster, and now this is just like a small little tiebreaker thing here, is I really don't have the best receiver room either. I think I'm in no man's land. So with this kind of a roster, I'm actually I'm gonna go against my ranks. I think I'm actually gonna go Tyler Warren here instead of Loveland because of that fact. I think if I need the production in year one, I think the better situation for fantasy production is Loveland. But and who knows, maybe Warren can also obviously exceed that. But I just think I'm gonna go with that route based on my team makeup here.
And I just want to give a little insight onto why you possibly aren't thinking burden or anything like that. Just because you have so many second round picks, you can hit on those late receivers, Kyle Williams, you can hit on Jack Besh that you love. All these receivers that you can possibly hit on in that second round. You don't have to reach or not even reach for burden, but just you get a stud tight end that you're not probably going to get in that second round, but you can definitely hit on a receiver in that later second round. So I agree. I think that tight end spot right there, you should shore up for sure.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what Zach Wilson does again.
He does.
His fourth pick of the round. He has tons more after that as well. But yeah, I would say he probably, if he doesn't go tight end here, he's going Burden, or he might. And I mean, this is just a little. He might go Jackson Dart. A lot of people like Jackson Dart. He doesn't really have a third QB, a starter. Not that Jackson Dart is a starter this year, but possibly. So he has Herbert and Stroud. Dart, is up in the air. John Ledge is after him. John Ledge also doesn't have a third QB, so he might be, you never know. I like the pick for Loveland if you take Warren, obviously, but he might not want a tight end. He might not think of
Does he have the 2-1 as well?
He has the 2-2.
2-2. Okay, I'm thinking that he can also even probably get Dart there.
Well, I think that's what I was saying. He might not take Dart there because John Ledge only has 2 QBs as well. He might.
Oh, he only has 2 QBs. Okay, I didn't hear that part.
So John Ledge has the 2-1, and John Ledge only has May and Hurts. So he might. I'm not saying that he will. I think that's a little. Personally, I think you agree that's a little reach for Dart. I think
it is super flex. I think one of them definitely takes Dart in those 3 picks right there. Between the 112 and the 2-2, I think Dart goes given their the team makeup and their QB situations on both. I wouldn't even doubt that actually, Zach Wilson fan doesn't want to take the 3 running backs, from at 110. I think he can possibly even parlay that into another trade to upgrade the position in a different way. I think he can also use these as different things for. I wouldn't rule that out either.
Would you trade, just possible scenario before we get out of here? Would you trade the 110 and the 112 for the dealers 105?
You're thinking how I'm thinking. Board. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if you want to get the QB3 and lock that down, then yes, and then, you don't necessarily have to value the back end of this. It really comes down to how much he values the tight end, because I think that's really the decision point. And if he's fine with letting that ride because he already has serviceable tight ends at this point, and it's not a premium position.
One question: would you do another trade offer just because we all know Ken loves Hawkinson?
We do.
Would you trade the 1-7, maybe the 110 and Hawkinson for the 1-5? And then you get the 112, you get that other tight end there.
Well, you're getting kind of rich with the 1-7 plus Hawkinson. Obviously, I think Ken would definitely accept that. I think you just try to get to do the 110. I think that's fair value is the 110 plus Hawkinson to move up 5 spots, but we'll see. I mean, it depends on what, because if Ken likes the mock that we did and knowing that RJ Harvey is possibly there, I think that might be intriguing enough for him to do that and get his guy Hawkinson on the process too. So hope that helps you, Zach Wilson fan. I hope that helps the rest of the league. I hope this rest of you gamers. But before we sign off, Connor, any closing thoughts on everything we discussed here today?
No closing thoughts. A little bit of closing thoughts on this lead. I'm the champion of this league,
That's
so
true.
I just want to put that out there. I don't have any picks in this league, so I didn't get to discuss anything. That's how you should always – just a little hint out there for Dynasty players. If you're competing, don't own any picks.
Let's need it.
Sell them all. Sell them all
F
for
them picks.
Competing. So, exactly.
F them picks. All right, bud. That's pretty much going to do it for this episode. We'll see if what we can do for the next one if we want to keep going with this, depending on the kind of the reaction. So if you guys like this episode, like to talk about how the team structured and how we make decisions here, our thought process, give a like, give us a comment, subscribe obviously if you haven't already, and just give us your feedback on how we did here, how we broke things down, and put your picks in there on the certain draft slots. Until next time, Connor, that is a wrap.
That's a wrap.